When the Turbo Truck Series race at Mid-Ohio was canceled, we knew we'd have to find a replacement race, but who knew where it would take us? But here we are, about a month later and several thousand miles away, just a little ways away from Auckland, New Zealand, is the site of the 6th race of the 1UP Turbo Truck Series season. Race number 6, the Honda Generator Sprint Race here at Pukekohe Park in New Zealand. Alongside me in the booth today for this 23-lap sprint is a guy who knows a lot about this place and a lot about this area in general. Ben McDonald with us in the booth for tonight's race. And, well, this is going to be chaos incarnate as far as the racing goes. A lot of risk and a lot of reward for taking gambles on this 1.8-mile road course. This is going to be very interesting, and track position is going to be very key, especially when you consider the lap traffic that will inevitably come to our drivers here today.
Yeah, it's great to be back, especially in the booth. Definitely a fun racetrack, to say the least. Track position is going to be very key here, as there's some passing zones, but you definitely do want to have the track position ahead of time and try to battle your own race and try to get as far out as possible.
And now we can look at the starting lineup, which was determined at Mid-Ohio before that weekend was canceled. So if you qualified out there, you're going to be racing here today. And it was Francois Chastain that got it done over there. And he gets his first career pole for today's sprint race at Pukekohe Park. He's got rookie Jeremy Whalen alongside him in the 83. Zach Rogers, Jimmy Hogan, and Zachary Bilson all round out the top 5. And we've got a lot of good drivers making our way from the front are starting at the front fairly early, but we also have a good number of drivers that are in really good cars starting at the tail end of the field, namely Kev Shearer in the 02, Jack Boswell in the number 38. This is going to be a very interesting story to watch these guys make their ways from the back to the front, because it's not easy on any road course, but especially on one where chaos lurks around every corner.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be interesting. A lot of the top guys in the series so far that have shown strength pretty early on are now starting in the back, so it's definitely going to be interesting to see how they get through here, and it gives some names to some guys that haven't run up front too much, so it's definitely going to be a change of pace and a good outlook on some of these drivers that normally don't get a chance to be up at the front.
So with 42 drivers ready to take on the Pukekohe Park Raceway, the field is all lined up and we're ready to bring you 23 laps from this New Zealand road circuit, and it's time for the Honda Generator Sprint Race from Pukekohe Park. The green flag is moments away. Stay tuned. This is going to be a race you really don't want to tear your eyes away from for even a mere second. The pace truck already on pit road, the green flag already in the air, and the Honda Generator Sprint Race from Pukekohe Park, I should say, already underway. And the field dives off into turn 1, heading down towards the S's. This is a very treacherous portion of the racetrack. You can get it wrong very quickly, and you can see the field stacking up pretty far back. They're already 3 wide in several places, diving off into turn number 4. And it looks like the whole field makes it through as they barrel down the back straightaway for the first time.
Yeah, that number 1 of Chastain had a really good launch off of there. It is definitely working towards his favor, as he has, it looks like, nearly a second over the second place guy here.
And looking back now at the rest of the field, as they head down into the hairpin, it's pretty even sailing for all these guys. We got a bit of a stack up down into the hairpin. A lot of guys are going to take a lot of damage here. We'll see who peels off into the pits to assess that damage. We'll get an update on that when one becomes available. But we're already through with lap number 1, and Francois Chastain from pole leads lap number 1, his first lap sled of the season, ahead of the 17 of Zach Rogers, who passed Jeremy Whalen to move up into second on the opening lap.
Yeah, that initial start for Chastain definitely did help. It definitely allowed himself to get away from anybody, let everybody battle behind him. That 17 of Zach Rogers is doing a good job as he battles through and able to get up to the second spot, and now has dead set eyes on that number 1 truck.
Yeah, Rogers is one of the great road racers we have in the truck series, and he is determined, after the heartbreak last time out at Pikes Peak, he is determined to get a very good finish here, and maybe even his first win. Because we have one truck coming out of the pits with damage. That's the 0 of Roger James. We saw him with an incident earlier in the hairpin, so he will be well off the lead pack. But They round turn 9 for the second time, and Francois Chastain holds the lead, but it's starting to shrink a little bit. It was 0.8 of a second. Now it's down to 0.4 of a second. So Zach Rogers is closing in a big hurry. Question is, what can he do when he gets there?
Yeah, it's a very interesting racetrack. Sometimes you might have to put the bumper to him just to get by him, but that 17's tires are definitely warming up and suiting to his favor now.
Looking back now through the rest of the field, for the most part, we have gone single file for the majority of this field. Looking back now at Ryan Griffin, winner of 2 races already this season. Struggles a little on the road courses, he'll readily admit, but he's doing a pretty good job in the top 15. They barrel off into the hairpin once again, and Zach Rogers is just doing everything he can to close that gap on Francois Chastain. In a big hurry, I might add, because while 23 laps on a road course might seem like a lot, at this place, it is not at all. We'll be done before you know it, and so Rogers knows he has limited amounts of time to get this move done.
Yeah, these lap times click off very quickly. We're already 3 laps complete so far on lap 4. You definitely do want to make that move, especially the 17, because you don't know if your tires are going to settle in and you guys are going to be the same speed. You just have to do what you can, get as much track position as you can, and hopefully do it really soon.
It looks like we had one more of an issue on the racetrack. It looks like it's the 06 of Maston Rimmel making his first start on a road course. It'll be interesting to see how the Express Motorsports team recovers from that. We'll check in on him in a moment. Oh, as Rogers gets a little tight going into the hairpin. That's going to be something to keep an eye on, as these trucks do not like following one another in the braking zones. They really want to be out in that clean air, and you can see the arrow push that Zach Rogers is gaining. He has to duck out of the slipstream of the one truck just to try and get some fresh air onto the nose of that 17. But he's still continuing to close the gap. Will we see a move into turn 1? Not this time.
Yeah, these NAS trucks definitely do create a bunch of dirty air. That one car has a huge advantage having that clean air, but still susceptible to the draft down onto these big straightaways that we have here.
Zach Rogers also holds the fastest lap in the race. That's worth a bonus point, and he'll be very happy to have that. As we see Roger James with lagging further behind, and there is Maston Rimmel. We mentioned him a moment ago. They are the only 2 that I can see at the moment that have fallen off the main pack, but it just goes to show you anything can happen on this wild, twisting road course, and it's mostly going to happen into that tight hairpin of turn 6, but coming through 9 once again to complete lap number 5, Chastain holds the lead over Rogers, but it's getting smaller and smaller every lap, and I just gotta wonder when Rogers is going to push the button, although he lost a tenth on that last lap, so maybe he's burning up his equipment trying to get to the 1 without thinking about what he's going to do when he gets there.
Yeah, it's definitely pushing tight now. These guys are doing all that they can to catch that one truck, but that one truck having the clean air, it is really helping him. Having a stable race truck and having clean air is definitely a suitable thing that you need at a track like this.
Yeah, but you can see as Rogers gets the draft down the long back straightaway through turn 5, down into the hairpin of 6. And you just see the hairpin is slightly banked a little bit, as you see a lot of cup trucks in the pit lane trying to get damage repaired. One of them being the 02 of Kev Shearer. We talked about him in the pre-race. Blaine Saylor also with issues. Brandon Mayhew as well. These guys are going to come out right in front of our leaders of Chastain and Rogers. And I mentioned lap traffic would be a factor in this race. This is why. So you see him, it's just this big stack up. You just plow into the guy in front of you, and Shearer's got heavy damage, as does Brandon Mayhew on the front end of those trucks, and you see them all just peel off onto the pit lane right here. Kev Shearer was hoping for so much better after his great debut race at Pikes Peak, but not going to come today, as he's going to assess some damage in the pit lane. Jack Boswell replacing the late Fisher Miller in that 38 truck. He's not having the greatest race. He's done for the day already, as a matter of fact. He and Boone King in the 39, both done for the day. On lap number 5, we're on lap 7 now, and Francois Chastain has a windshield full of Brandon Mayhew in the 07. That is going to be a big challenge for Chastain to overcome, especially if he wants to keep the race lead.
Yeah, lap trucks, they definitely don't want to go a lap down just in case the full course yellow comes out, which is kind of rare at these road courses, but there is still a possibility that it can happen. that one truck got to do what he can to get that clean air, as that is going to really help out that one truck.
See Austin Runkle in the 18 with damage as well. He held the final playoff position going into this race. He'll likely lose that when this race is all said and done. But look at the stack up that's forming behind Brandon Mayhew as Chastain tries to go around the outside of turn 8. That's a bit of a bold move to try to make a move there, but he's going to make it work as he clears Mayhew off of turn 9. Now it's Zach Rogers' problem to deal with as Chastain is free and clear of Brandon Mayhew. Chastain has led all 8 laps so far. Can he make it a clean sweep?
Yeah, that last little section, 7, 8, and 9, you definitely want to be on the outside going into 8, as you have the advantage going into 9. It definitely helps out in the long run, even though it may not seem like the best option to do. The one truck definitely did a great job on that and getting back out into clean air.
You can look at all the trucks in front of the leaders that they're going to have to navigate before this thing's said and done. But Francois Chastain now pulling, oh my goodness, look at that block from Brandon Mayhew trying to keep Zach Rogers at bay. That might not work for very long because Rogers is someone you really don't want to hold up for very long, as the longer Rogers is held up behind Mayhew, the more opportunity it gives Chastain to just run away with this race. See what the gap is at the line, but Rogers still can't get past the 07. This is a big problem for Rogers if he's going to have any hope of winning this race, because the gap, it was 0.6 of a second. He's gained an entire second on that last lap just from Rogers being stuck behind Mayhew. This is disastrous for the 17 if he's going to have any hope of winning this race.
Yeah, he's definitely got to do what he can, maybe even use the door against that 07. He has to do what he can just to be able to contend with that one. He can't just be stuck behind lap cars like this.
Heading down the back straightaway for the 10th time, Chastain barrels down with Rogers finally clear of the 07 of Mayhew. Jeremy Whalen going to try and get around as well in the 83. They're constantining together into the hairpin of 6, and is that going to give Whalen the opportunity to get around Rogers? No, he stays in line, trying to get around Mayhew in the 07. They almost make contact through 7 and 8. Now coming through turn 9 to complete the lap. And it looks like Whalen is going to clear, but we'll see how much time Rogers lost on that lap trying to get around. The gap is now 2.4 seconds. That is a huge margin on a road course, and this might be Francois Chastain's race to lose it.
Yeah, it's definitely a great thing to have that much space, but you also have to manage your tires and not try to gain too much ground and wear out your tires more and not lose too much and let the other guy catch up to you. You have to definitely manage your tires, definitely manage your speed. Definitely have to do what you can, especially with clean air opportunities and plenty of racetrack in front of him.
Yeah, so Zach Rogers now has free space to try and chase down Chastain, because I think Rogers actually does have the faster truck, but he just doesn't have the track position right now. He's got clear air ahead, and he's going to try and cut that corner as close as he possibly can, try and shave as much time off the lap as he can. We'll see what he gains at the end of this lap. He gained about a 10th. That's not going to be enough, I don't think, because we're closing in on 10 laps to go. He's got to gain several tenths a lap if he's going to chase down and eventually pass the one of Francois Chastain.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be a bit of an issue, as we definitely have a lot of competitive racing left, as we nearly have half of this race left, but there is still a lot that could happen in just that short amount of time.
You saw Logan Jones in the 94. He joined the list of good trucks that are at the tail end of the lead lap now, struggling to hang on with damage. But and I'm sure, and while we're not going to be able to get replays of most of these incidents because they happen so often, they're likely caused by the same source, colliding with one another in the hairpin of turn 6, stacking up one after the other. I imagine that's going to be what the case is for all these incidents. They'll be under review later. But Chastain now has a lead that's pretty much stabilized at about 2.3 seconds. Chastain is just on a Sunday drive, or a Saturday drive, I should say, through the hills of New Zealand, trying to score his first career win, and it's been a long time coming for Francois Chastain. He had a miserable season in the Nitro National Series last year. Not much success there. He went down the trucks. Nick Ortiz picked him up for his race team, and it's paying off so far. Chastain has led all the laps so far, and if he can lead this one, he'll lock up the most laps led as well.
Yeah, he's definitely doing a great job at managing his lead right now. there are a couple lap trucks right in front of him, so it'll be interesting to see how he catches them in the closing laps of this race as we come to 10 to go here at the line.
And that is Blaine Saylor in the 0-1, directly ahead of the 1 of Francois Chastain. The gap between Chastain and Rogers has decreased to about 2.1 seconds. That's still not enough, I don't think, because there's only 10 laps to go, and Rogers is only gaining a tenth a lap. What I think Rogers has to be hoping for is that Chastain gets held up in a big way by the 0-1 of Blaine Saylor and maybe a few others ahead of the 0-1. But at this point in time, Chastain's definitely catching the 0-1, but he's got to pick his moves carefully, because one wrong move could put him out of this race, and that's not something you want to have happen, especially after dominating the early portion of this race. It's happened before, and it can happen again.
Yeah, having basically no controversy other than one other lap car, this one car has had a phenomenal race as he's passing the 0-1.
Relatively easily, I might add, so Chastain gets around the 0-1 of Blaine Saylor to put him a lap down. We now have 9 laps to go. The gap's gone down to 1.8 seconds. So Chastain being held up by Saylor definitely helped Rogers, but he's going to need more than that, because keep in mind, every lap truck that Chastain passes, Zach Rogers is also going to have to deal with at some point in time.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be interesting to see how fast he can get by them as well. Obviously, he is gaining time now, but once he starts getting into the lap trucks, he might not be able to gain that time back and possibly lose out and allow the number 1 truck just to drive away with this victory.
But keep in mind, Francois Chastain, there's 2 trucks ahead of him battling for position, Logan Jones and Austin Runkle. They are battling both for position and to stay on the lead lap. So that is not going to be an easy pass for Chastain to make. He's got to time his moves carefully, like I said. But boy, Zach Rogers is doing everything he can to track down that 1 truck, trying to get Rogers his first career win, as he cut the gap down by about half a second on that lap. That is what we need to see from Zach Rogers to make this a 2-truck battle for the win.
Yeah, he's definitely got all the opportunities to catch him. That 0-1 truck is the only thing that's in between him and that lead. He has to do what he can to get by them, and hopefully the lap trucks in front of Francois Chastain just slow him up just enough so that he can battle him.
We'll see if Rogers can make the move going down in the 6. He's got a real pace advantage over the 0-1. I just don't think he's going to make it to make the move stick. And he gets that arrow push into the hairpin. That is not going to help the 17. He's got to find a way around the 0-1 in a big hurry, because otherwise, even if Chastain gets to those 2 lappers ahead of him, which he most certainly will, the problem I see him having is, will he be able to have enough laps to try and track down the 1, even if he does get stuck behind those 2 ahead of him?
Yeah, it's definitely going to be interesting. 17 looking his nose right in front of the 0-1, but he's not going to be able to do it. Oh, as he goes wide!
He ran really wide through turn 2. That's going to cost him a little bit of time. The gap's back up to 1.8 seconds as well. And that little excursion into the grass is going to cost Rogers an even bigger amount of time, as he's still stuck behind Blaine Saylor in the 0-1. But like I said at the top of the show, lap traffic is going to be a big integral part of this race, and now you see why. And it's not just because of the slower pace of the rear of the field, it's because they have damage, and damaged trucks are just going to be in the way for the rest of this race, and I don't see any way they're going to get around this. But Rogers finally gets around Blaine Saylor off of turn 9, and now Rogers can set off after Francois Chastain, who, at the end of lap number 18, is about 3 seconds up the road. That is a lot to make up in just 6 laps.
Yeah, that's very impressive for the 1, but he still has to get by those 2 lap trucks. Those are definitely still a factor in this race. Plenty of laps left, but obviously it's going to be a while before before Rogers gets to him, so it's going to be interesting to say the least how he gets through the lap trucks as well as the 1.
We got one more on pit road with damage. That's the 86 of Giovanni Pena. He scrapes the pit wall on exit, trying to get out of the pits. So Pena is going to join this party in a little while. Knox Hanley as well. But at this point in time, Chastain is still stuck behind Logan Jones in the 94. And it's going to be interesting to see, is he going to get a run down the front straightaway, try and make a move on the 94? I don't see it happening. But as Rogers crosses the line, he gained half a second on that lap. That is exactly what Rogers needs to do. Gain over half a second per lap and keep hoping that Chastain keeps getting held up behind the 94 as the 94 almost backs into the 1 out of turn 4. Now they've barreled on the back clearly through turn 5. This barely counts as a corner, honestly. Just dropped this little kink on the back straightaway, but they counted as turn 5 here. And now Chastain makes the move down the inside of Logan Jones. Will it stick into the hairpin?
He definitely has the momentum on that inside curve. He's definitely going to keep the position. It's going to be a bit before he can finally clear him. Gonna stay back in line in the 94.
Yeah, Jones stays clear of Chastain. So the 1 he's gonna try and make another move. Jones swerves and almost puts Chastain into the grass on the front straightaway. That's an interesting defensive maneuver. I'm not sure if the officials will look kindly on that, but now Chastain is clear of Logan Jones with 4 laps to go. And that is not what Zach Rogers wanted to have happen. He wanted that 1 truck to be stuck behind the 94 the rest of the race, because now Rogers' deficit is 1.5 seconds. But now Rogers also has to get around the 94, and we've seen what this 94 truck will do to keep position.
Yeah, but that 1 truck still has a couple lap cars to go. That 18 truck still right in front of him, and there's plenty more right in front if there is enough time, so that 1 truck in the 17 still have a lot to do before this race is said and done.
I don't know if they're going to catch up to that last group in time for this race to be over. We're coming to 3 laps to go already. This race is flown by in a heartbeat. That's why they call it the sprint, as we now have 3 laps to go. The gap is now 1.1 seconds between Rogers and Chastain. This has been a gripping battle for the lead, even if they've been separated by quite some margin. Chastain runs a little wide onto the curb, and it causes Jones to catch up a little bit. Rogers is right there. If he can get by this 94, I imagine this would be a riveting battle for the rip checkered flag.
Yeah, it's definitely no time for mistakes. That 1 truck, thankfully he didn't lose too much ground, but obviously just still having the 17 in the picture as he's making a move.
Down the inside goes Zach Rogers on Logan Jones. At the same time, Chastain tries to get around Austin Runkle. It doesn't look like either of their moves are going to stick. So Runkle stays ahead of Chastain. Jones stays ahead of Rogers. 2 laps to go at the line from Pukekohe Park. And this race has become an enthralling battle for the win. Even if Chastain has led all 21 laps so far, this race far from being decided.
Yeah, that 17 is doing a really good job just trying to force the issue as the 1 gets onto that curve just a little bit again, possibly slowing him down, but that 17 still stuck behind the 94.
Yeah, that's not going to help Rogers' case at all, especially considering that Francois Chastain has now gotten around Austin Runkle in the 18. Now Rogers has 2 trucks in between himself and the 1 of which is his teammate, Austin Runkle. Will the 18 get out of the way? Looks like Logan Jones finally will, but we're coming to the white flag this time. I don't see a path forward for Zach Rogers unless that 1 makes a huge mistake on this final lap of the sprint.
Yep, it's definitely time to put your best lap possible as that 1 truck trying to make a complete day leading every single lap here. It's definitely a hard-fought battle for him. He is doing such a great job. And it's great to watch it up here in the booth as he is doing one hell of a job up here.
Zach Rogers falling back to 1.4 back, doing everything he can, but he's going to need a big mistake from Francois Chastain. And he's made a few, but none big enough to warrant major concern as he barrels down the back straightaway for the final time. Giovanni Pena is not going to be a factor in this battle for the lead. He's too far out in front. As they come through the hairpin for the final time, Francois Chastain on pace to score his first career win. As it looks like Pena dives on the pit road, he's going to get out of the leader's way. Through 8 and 9 for the final time. Francois Chastain, after such a disappointing start to his career, is going to get the biggest win of his life. Francois Chastain off of turn 9 wins the Honda Generator Sprint Race at Pukekohe Park in a flag-to-flag victory that one can only describe as picturesque and clean-cut through the hills of New Zealand. Zach Rogers did everything he could, but a second place left to do for him. But that's still much-needed points in the bank after the disappointment at Pikes Peak. Jeremy Whalen gets his career best finish in third, just ahead of Zachary Wilson, who gets close to the points lead as Jimmy Hogan rounds out the top 5. Earl Sear comes home 6th. Allison Rain 7th. Bradley Hooper back in the top 10 once again at 8th. Followed by a drag race to the line between Igor Zhao and Jonathan Lawson, settled in favor of the Chinese driver over the Norwegian to come home 9th and 10th. But this race was everything we expected it to be. It was really quick, and it was very chaotic, but we had a deserving winner. Even if he led every lap, this was still a race that was not decided until the final lap.
It was definitely picture perfect for that one truck, even though he had a little bit of anxiety probably going through the last couple laps, possibly going to get caught by that 17, but he did one great job of holding his own and keeping composure and making the win a reality.
And with rumors of the 1UP Turbo Truck Series returning here on a more permanent basis next season, this is going to be a very interesting track to keep our eye on, because if we can get these first lap chaos sorted out, this is going to be a very interesting race to keep our eye on for 2023. But next time, the 1UP Turbo Truck Series returns stateside, but we're back at another road course, this time in Kansas, the Heartland Park in Topeka, Kansas. It's going to be a lot of fun to see who can master it out there. We'll see if Chastain can go back-to-back, or if Zach Rogers can redeem himself from a near miss here at Pukekohe. Final thoughts from this exhilarating, really quick sprint race here in New Zealand.
Yeah, it's definitely one great race that we were able to see. Thankfully, I was able to come out here, see a great race like this. Congratulations to everybody in the field. Even though not everybody had the best of race, it was definitely one fun one to watch, and thankfully we can come back here hopefully on a regular basis, hopefully for all 3 series as well.
So, from Ben McDonnell and from myself as well, we say goodbye from Pukekohe Park Raceway in New Zealand, and we say congratulations to Francois Chastain, who put on a clinic in this race, withstood the pressure from Zach Rogers, and held off Rogers, the rest of the field, and the lap traffic as well, to score his maiden win in the scenic hills of New Zealand. We'll be off for a few weeks, but we'll see you guys next time in Kansas for race number 7 of the 1UP Turbo Truck Series in 2022.